अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी. Organizational psychology. We are into the 20th lecture now, and hopefully you are doing your revisions as we go along, and you are picking up more and more subject, and you are preparing yourself for a career in organizational psychology. अभी तक हमने जिन चीज़ों का जिक्र किया है वो बहुत अहम थी. उसके साथ साथ हम और अहम चीज़ों का जिक्र करते चले जाएंगे. आप नोट कर रहे होंगे कि हमने पिछले चंद लेक्चर्स में कुछ ऐसे फैक्टर्स का जिक्र किया था विच मे बी कॉल्ड मॉलिक्यूलर और माइक्रो फैक्टर्स. Very small factors, variables that impact the psychology of a person, and as a result of that, the psychology of a person impacts the whole organization. In that context, we talked about personality. In that context, we talked about even smaller molecular factor of attitude. How attitude may affect an individual and how an individual then in turn may impact an organization, and how the organization impacts, influences an individual, his personality and his attitude. फिर हमने इससे भी एक मॉलिक्यूलर फैक्टर का जिक्र किया पिछले लेक्चर में, एंड दैट वाज जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन. बिफोर वी गो फॉरवर्ड, लेट अस रिव्यू क्विकली व्हाट वी टॉक्ड अबाउट इन द लास्ट लेक्चर, दैट इज लेक्चर नंबर 19. हमने जिक्र किया था जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन का. जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन वाज डिफाइंड एज, do you remember what is it defined as? You are right. As a pleasurable state of being as a result of performing a certain job. अगर कोई शख्स खुश खुरम महसूस कर रहा है अपनी जॉब में तो हम कहेंगे कि वो जॉब सेटिस्फाइड है. हमने इसके बहुत से रिलेशनशिप्स देखे थे कि क्या क्या चीज जो है वो जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन पे असरअंदाज होती है. याद है कुछ चीजें? जी हां, पे, नेचर ऑफ वर्क, नेचर ऑफ सुपरविजन, नेचर ऑफ कोवर्कर्स, ये चीजें थीं जो हमने पिछली दफे देखी. फिर हमने देखा था कि जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन को मेजर कैसे करते हैं. उसमें भी हमने 3, 4, 5, 6 चीजें देखी थी, वेरियस मेजर्स ऑफ जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन. फिर हमने देखा था कि जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे क्या असर है, इंडिविजुअल पे क्या असर है, आउटकम्स और रिजल्ट्स ऑफ जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन. और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमने देखा था कि जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन जो है उससे प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ती है, उससे परफॉर्मेंस बेहतर होती है एक शख्स की. फिर हमने ये देखा था कि उस शख्स की ज़हनी सेहत और उस शख्स की जिस्मानी सेहत बेहतर होती है. और फिर हमने ये भी देखा था that he becomes a better citizen as a result of his job satisfaction. और आखिरी चीज जो जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन के जिम्रे में हमने देखी थी वो थी ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कमिटमेंट. ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कमिटमेंट वाज डिफाइंड एज a feeling of attachment that a person feels with an organization, a desire to stay in an organization, to remain in an organization, to do something good for the organization. All of these are various expressions of organizational commitment. And then we saw the relationship of organizational commitment with job satisfaction. And we saw that organizational commitment is a direct influence upon job satisfaction. That job satisfaction leads to organizational commitment, and organizational commitment in turn creates job satisfaction. ये तमाम चीजें हमने लेक्चर नंबर 19 में देखी थी। और ये जैसे मैंने पहले गुजारिश की आपसे, these are the molecular small factors, micro factors that influence a person and his role in an organization and the organization as a whole, and these factors get impacted, influenced by the organization in turn. एक और इसी तरह का एक मॉलिक्यूलर फैक्टर और स्मॉल फैक्टर या माइक्रो फैक्टर जो है, जिसका ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी से बहुत गहरा ताल्लुक है, आज उसका मुताला करते हैं, और दैट इज द टॉपिक ऑफ मोटिवेशन। आपने मोटिवेशन के बारे में अपने मुख्तलिफ कोर्सेज में पढ़ा होगा। जब मैं आपसे हिस्ट्री एंड सिस्टम्स की गुजारिशात कर रहा था, तो उस रेफरेंस में भी मैंने आपको मोटिवेशन के बारे में कुछ न कुछ बताया था। हमने मिसाल के तौर पर मैकडूगल की थियरी याद आई आपको? विलियम मैकडूगल, द ब्रिटिश साइकोलॉजिस्ट, who said that all of us have instincts that motivate us, that propel us forward. हमने उसका जिक्र किया था आपसे। फिर हमने जिक्र किया था फ्रॉयड का। हमने कहा था कि उसके नजदीक सेक्स जो है या अनकॉन्शियस विशेस एंड डिजायर जो हैं, दे आर द प्रोपेलेंट्स और द मोटिव फोर्स ऑफ ए पर्सन। फिर हमने जिक्र किया था आडलर की थियरी का। अल्फ्रेड आडलर ने मोटिवेशन से मुतल्लिक कहा था, do you remember what? He said that a person's feeling of inferiority is his driving force, is his motivation. He also said that his social interest is his motivation. हमने और भी बहुत सारे माहिरीन नफ्सियात का जिक्र किया था मोटिवेशन से मुतल्लिक। इस वक्त जो हम मोटिवेशन के बारे में पढ़ेंगे, वो चीजें पढ़ेंगे जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी से मुतल्लिक हैं। सो वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट मोटिवेशन इन रिलेशनशिप टू ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी एंड नॉट इन रिलेशन टू एन इंडिविजुअल साइकोलॉजी। मोटिवेशन इज डिफाइंड एज ए ड्राइव, ए पुश फ्रॉम विद इन। इफ ए पर्सन इज पुश्ड टू परफॉर्म वेल फ्रॉम विद इन, if the drive comes from within him, then that is his motivation. There are certain individuals who are motivated to perform well in an organization. There are certain individuals who do not care how they are performing. And there are certain individuals who are more or less determined to perform badly in an organization because they are cut up, or because they do not like their co-workers, or they are not very fond of their officials or officers or their leaders. So motivation impacts a person's contribution to an organization, and if you as psychologists can understand motivation and what drives people, then you would be able to better control those motives and bring about a desirable impact of those motives on a person and on the organization as a whole. माहिरीन नफ्सियात आम तौर पर दो तरह के मोटिव्स का जिक्र करते हैं। If we were to take a bird's eye view of different types of motives, then we can see that psychologists distinguish between two kinds of motives. Motives can be divided into the primary motives and the secondary motives. Primary motives are considered to be those motives that human beings share with the animal world. Human beings are born with those motives. They are a part of our hard drive, to borrow a term from computers. It seems that nature has hardwired us, in a way, so to say, with certain kinds of motives. एक शख्स उनको लेके पैदा होता है. ये मोटिव्स जो हैं, ये हम एक शख्स जो है वो बाकी जानवरों के साथ भी शेयर करता है. ये कौन से मोटिव्स हैं? बताइए. What are those motives or drives that you are born with and that you share with other animals? Yes, hunger. Yes, thirst. Yes, fear. Yes, sex. Yes, need to rest. These are all motives that we are born with. Curiosity, another motive. All animals are curious. All human beings are curious. Some animals are more curious than others. Some human beings are more curious than others. But we all have curiosity. As all of us feel hungry, as all of us feel thirsty, as all of us feel afraid, as all of us feel a need to rest, to sleep, isi tarah se there is a need, a motive for curiosity. These are the primary motives that we share not only with all human beings, but with the lower animals also. Lower animals are driven by hunger and fear and thirst and need for rest and things like that. So are human beings, driven by hunger and fear and thirst and need for rest and so on and so forth. So these are what psychologists call primary motives, motives that we are born with. But then there is another kind of motive, the second kinds of motives, the secondary motives. As the primary motives are innate, inborn, inherited, secondary motives are not innate, not inborn. We don't inherit them. We learn them. We learn to be motivated by certain needs. Certain needs are created in us as a result of our upbringing, as a result of our training, as a result of our interaction with other people, as a result of our education. All of these external influences, factors, create motives in people, and those motives are called secondary motives. Secondary motives are motives that we do not share with other animals. Some of them are the motive for power. A person's desire to control other people, to make them do what he wants them to do, is an example of a motive for power. Organizations में this motive plays a very dominant role when we come to power and politics in relation to organizational psychology. We will talk about those things, but for the time being, understand that power is a secondary motive. The need to dominate others, the need to make them do what you want them to do is power. We sometimes distinguish between negative and positive power in an organization. If a person wants to become powerful because he wants a greater degree of satisfaction of his own personal, individualized, narrow needs, then that is an example of negative power. And if a person wants to become powerful because he wants to use that power for the benefit of a large majority of people in an organization, for the organization as a whole, then that would be an example what psychologists call positive power. However, power is still a motive, whether it is negative, exercised in a manner which benefits a person or a small group of people. It is negative power, but it is still power and still a motive. And whether it is exercised as power over a large majority of people for the benefit of people, that would be positive power, but it's still power. So the first social or secondary motive that we have is what we call power. Another is achievement. आपने achievement motivation के बारे में पढ़ा होगा. Achievement motivation is desire to achieve higher levels of existence, higher levels of goals, higher levels of positions, and that is what is called achievement motivation. Psychologists have seen that human beings could be divided into two broad categories: those who have achievement motivation and those who have MAF or avoidance of failure. These are both learned motives, but achievement motivation is more relevant to organizational psychology, and organizational psychologists have therefore focused more on achievement motivation. In regard to achievement motivation or motive to achieve, they have seen a few things that would be of some interest to you. First, that they have seen is that those people who have achievement motivation or higher degree of achievement motivation are people who take moderate risks. इससे क्या मुराद है? इससे मुराद ये है that achievement oriented people, or that people who are motivated by achievement, do not take either very small risks or very large risks. They take risks which are of moderate level or moderate intensity or moderate magnitude. अगर मिसाल के तौर पर उनको 3 काम दिए जाएं या वो 3 कामों में से उन्हें सिलेक्ट करना हो, एक ऐसा काम जिसमें रिस्क कम है, एक ऐसा काम जिसमें रिस्क बहुत ज्यादा है, और एक ऐसा काम जिसमें रिस्क दरमियाना है, तो अचीवमेंट ओरिएंटेड लोग जो हैं वो उस काम की सिलेक्शन करेंगे जिसमें रिस्क दरमियाने दर्जे का है. That is what is meant by achievement-oriented people being moderate risk takers. They do not take very small risks, neither do they take very large risks. They are happy to take risks of moderate levels. एक तो ये हमने देखा अचीवमेंट ओरिएंटेड लोगों से मुतल्लिक उनका बिहेवियर. दूसरी चीज जो हमने देखी है वो ये है दैट दोज पीपल हु हैव अचीवमेंट मोटिवेशन रिक्वायर फीडबैक. वो चाहते हैं कि उन्हें पता चले कि उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन, उनका काम जो है वो उसकी नौयत क्या है, वो कैसा कर रहे हैं, क्या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में उनका काम अच्छी तरह से हो रहा है या अच्छी तरह से नहीं हो रहा. Achievement oriented or people who have high achievement motivation, which is a secondary motive, they are the people who want to know how they are performing. एक और चीज जो हमने देखी है वो ये है that achievement oriented people or people who have high achievement motivation are preoccupied with their tasks. वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा अपने काम पे ध्यान रखते हैं, काम से मुतल्लिक उनकी एनर्जीज जो हैं वो सर्फ होती हैं. ये 3-4 चीजें हमने देखी हैं अचीवमेंट मोटिवेशन से, या सेकेंडरी मोटिव जिसको हम अचीवमेंट कहते हैं उससे रिलेटेड. जैसे पावर से रिलेटेड हमने देखा कि देयर माइट बी नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव पावर, इसी तरह से हमने अचीवमेंट से रिलेटेड देखा कि अचीवमेंट मोटिवेशन से मुतल्लिक जिन लोगों में अचीवमेंट मोटिवेशन ज्यादा है वो मॉडरेट रिस्क टेकर्स हैं, वो फीडबैक ज्यादा से ज्यादा चाहते हैं और वो हर वक्त या ज्यादातर वक्त जो है अपने काम से में सर्व करना पसंद करते हैं और सर्व करते हैं. दैट्स another motive that is acquired or a secondary motive. एक और motive जो acquired या secondary है, that is affiliation. The need to socialize, the need to be with other people. Let me ask you a question. If you wanted to have dinner, would you have it with yourself or would you rather have it with other people? In all probability, you have said that you would rather have your dinner along with other people. अम्मी, अब्बू, बहन, भाई, दोस्त, यार, मिलने जुलने वालों, मियाँ बीवी के साथ, आप बच्चों के साथ मिल के खाना पसंद करेंगे बनिस्बत इसके कि आप अकेले खाना खाएं. क्यों? This is because hunger is also satisfied when you are eating alone, so is it satisfied when you are eating with other people. So it's not only hunger which is being satisfied when you eat, there is also another motive or a need here. And what is that? The need for affiliation, the need to be amongst other people, with other people to socialize, and that is another kind of a secondary motive. ये 3-4 जो हैं ये secondary motives हैं, which are learned, not like the primary motives which are unlearned. These are the motives that we do not share with other animals. It is these motives which we've called secondary motives are peculiar characteristics of human beings. So these are the two kinds of motives. We are talking about those motives which are of particular importance to organizational psychology. Based upon these definitions and based upon these observations, a number of theorists have put forward theories of motivation. What are those factors which drive people in organizations? Let us take a look at some of the theories of motivation. सबसे पहले जिस थियरी का मैं जिक्र करना चाहूंगा वो है अमेरिकन साइकोलॉजिस्ट इब्राहिम मास्लो. जब हमने ह्यूमनिस्टिक साइकोलॉजी का जिक्र किया था, जब हम आपके साथ हिस्ट्री एंड सिस्टम्स का जिक्र कर रहे थे, तो हमने आपको इसकी थियरी के बारे में भी बताया था. लेकिन आज हम मास्लो की सिर्फ वही चीज देखेंगे, वही थियरी देखेंगे जिसका ताल्लुक मोटिवेशन के साथ है. Abraham Maslow was a humanist psychologist who put forward the theory that human motives are in the form of a hierarchy. Hierarchy से क्या मुराद है? That there are gradations, there are stages. That some motives are more important at a particular stage for a particular person, and some motives are less important. What does that mean? That at some time, in some place, at some stage in a person's life, he is propelled more by certain motives and less by certain other motives. तो पहली तो ये बात देखने वाली है मास्लो के थियरी ऑफ मोटिवेशन में, that he describes human motivation in terms of a hierarchy, a gradation. Hierarchy means that there is a gradation, that there are important, then less important, then less important, and then less important, and then least important motives. अब ये लफ्ज important जो है, ये मुख्तलिफ मकाम पे इसकी अहमियत भी मुख्तलिफ हो सकती है. फॉर इंस्टेंस, at one stage in a person's life, some motive may be important. At another stage in his life, the same motive may not be important for him. Another motive may become important for him. All right, let us take a look in depth of Maslow's theory of motivation. What does he say? He talks about 5 levels or 5 gradations of motivation. What are those 5 levels? The lowest rung of motivation is जिसकी बुनियाद पे तमाम बाकी के motives हैं, those motives he calls the physiological needs. Physiological needs are, as I just explained to you, what other psychologists have called primary motives. What are those? बताइए. हमारी फिजियोलॉजिकल नीड्स क्या होंगी, या हमने अभी जिन प्राइमरी मोटिव्स का जिक्र किया था वो क्या है? हंगर, फियर, सेक्स, थर्स्ट, नीड फॉर रेस्ट, क्यूरियोसिटी, these are all primary motives and these are our physiological needs. अगर किसी शख्स की भूख या प्यास जो है उसकी सेटिस्फेक्शन हो जाती है तो फिर मास्लो की थियरी के मुताबिक other motives become important for him. But if the basic needs of hunger or thirst or rest are not satisfied, then these are very pressing, they become very pressing needs. Then other motives do not propel you to go forward, do not push you to go forward. Then the satisfaction of these physiological needs become very, very important. So this is the lowest rung of the hierarchy of motive, upon which the entire hierarchy is based, the physiological needs. Once these are satisfied in Maslow's theory, then the other kinds of motives, the second tier or the second level or the second step of the hierarchy of motive comes into operation, and that is the safety needs. Once hunger is satisfied, then a person wants that his body and his people around him must be secure and safe. आप देखते हैं कि अगर एक शख्स को, एक जानवर को बहुत ज्यादा भूख लगी हो तो वो खतरात को भी नजरअंदाज करके खुराक की तलाश में निकल सकता है, निकल जाता है. भूख को मिटाने के लिए एक शख्स अपनी जान की बाजी भी लगा सकता है, meaning that he is prepared to sacrifice his security need, safety need for the sake of satisfaction of hunger, meaning that hunger is more pressing, more important a need, and safety need is less important. Once hunger is satisfied, then safety needs motivate a person. Then he would like that his organism, that his body, that his ideas, that people around him, the people that he loves are also secure and safe. That is the second tier of motive that Maslow talks about. And the third tier and the third step above the physiological need and the safety need is the need for love. Once the physiological needs are satisfied, according to Maslow's theory, and once the safety needs are satisfied, once the need for hunger and safety are satisfied, then the need for love becomes operative, becomes motivating. A person wants to be loved, to be honored, to be admired, first by the significant others, जिनको वो अच्छा समझता है, जो उसके नजदीक तरीन लोग हैं, वो चाहता है कि वो उसको मोहब्बत की निगाह से देखें, उससे मोहब्बत करें. In Maslow's theory. So the third tier of motive that comes into operation is the need for love. Once physiological need and safety need are satisfied, then a person seeks the satisfaction of his need for love, need to be loved. Once that is satisfied, जब उसको मोहब्बत अफेक्शन भी मिल जाए, तो फिर चौथी नीड और फोर्थ मोटिवेशन, the upper motivation in Maslow's theory becomes operative, and that is the need for esteem or esteem needs. What is an esteem need or an esteem motive? To love. To love. First we are talking about the need to be loved. चाहे जाना और चाहना, इनमें दो मुख्तलिफ चीजें हैं. Once his need to be loved is satisfied, then of course he wants to love. Then his motive to love becomes operative. He wants affection to be spread around. He wants to express his love and affection and goodness for other people. First with his near and dear ones, then his circle of acquaintances and friends, and then larger people, and then entire mankind. The need for esteem needs then motivates him. Once that is satisfied, once he can express his affection and love and care for others, he is given the opportunity, others are there to receive him, then in Maslow's point of view, in Maslow's theory, the fifth, the highest motive comes into operation, which is the motive for self-actualization. Self-actualization in Maslow's theory is that whatever his potential is, he materializes that potential. He lives out that potential. If he is a good athlete, then he becomes a world-class cricketer or a world-class swimmer or a world-class gymnast. If his potential is of a singer, then he is pushed to become a great musician, a great singer, to make songs which will take into a magical spell the whole world. If his potential is to become a writer, then he writes novels, plays. If his potential is to make movies, then he makes movies. If his potential is to become a teacher, a scientist, then he becomes a scientist. A physicist, a chemist, a sculptor, a poet, an orator, a politician, all of these are a good businessman, a top-class businessman, somebody who creates the best organization in the whole world. You have many, many examples where people have gotten together and have created huge organizations. Recently, a huge organization in computers has been developed. Now that is an example of self-actualization. We know that people have developed aircraft carriers. We know that people have written poetries. We know that people have conducted experiments in medicine which has saved lives of hundreds and thousands of people. We know that people have developed through experiments technologies that have saved lives of hundreds of people, thousands of people in actual medical practices. These are all examples of people who are propelled by this need for self-actualization in Maslow's theory of motivation. So what is Maslow talking about? He is talking about a hierarchy of 5 motives: physiological needs, safety needs, need for love, esteem needs, and the need for self-actualization. Do you see some element of truth in his theory? Let us go forward of Maslow's theory and take another look at another psychologist's point of view related to motives in organizations. Remember, we are talking about theories of motivation, in particular reference and only reference to organizational psychology. दूसरा जो अहम नाम है इस ज़िम्न में थियरी ऑफ मोटिवेशन से मुतल्लिक, दैट इज ऑफ फ्रेडरिक हर्सबर्ग. Frederick Herzberg has also given us his theory of motivation. Maslow's theory of motivation was based upon research that he conducted with people that he came across in life and his practice. Herzberg's theory is based upon the actual experiments that he carried out in various organizations across the North American continent. ये दोनों जो थियरीज हैं और इसके अलावा जो और थियरीज का हम जिक्र करेंगे वो they are not armchair theories. They are not the result of somebody sitting in his comfortable chair and then visualizing certain things and then writing about them. That there is nothing wrong with that, except that's not science. Science is based upon empirical evidence, empirical data, actual observation, and that is exactly what Maslow's theory is based upon. Although he calls it a theory, but it is based upon dozens, hundreds, and thousands of observations that he made. इसी तरह से ये जो जिक्र हम कर रहे हैं फ्रेडरिक हर्ट्सबर्ग की थियरी का, this is also based upon his observations in a lot of organizations across the North American continent. Frederick Herzberg says that in organizations, people are motivated by two things. Those two things he calls satisfiers and dissatisfiers. But I will use better terms for these which he describes also. And he says that people are motivated by two things. In other words, motivation, according to Herzberg, in organization is the result of two things. What are those two things? Number one, job content. And number two, job context. Job content he calls satisfier, and job context he calls dissatisfiers or hygiene factors. चलिए कंटेंट और कॉन्टेक्स्ट का भी डिटेल से मुताला करते हैं. कंटेंट क्या है जॉब का? आप बताइए किसी जॉब का कंटेंट क्या हो सकता है? बताइए मेरी जॉब का क्या कंटेंट है? My job is related to reading books, getting on the internet and reading journals, discussions, and then delivering lectures, holding discussions, holding dialogues, holding discourses, writing, reading, getting other people to get involved. All of these are job contents of a teacher. What are the job contents of a manager? Supervising people, communicating with people, giving them orders, taking orders from the higher board of directors, making sure that the organizational productivity remains on target. These are the job contents of a manager. What are the job contents of an artist? Getting hold of paints, brushes, keeping abreast of the newest ideas, different ideas, and then translating those ideas through the paints and the brushes and the canvases and the paper onto paintings. And that is the job content of an artist. What is the job content of a film director? The job content of a film director is getting to know the nitty-gritty, the art of filmmaking, the science of filmmaking. उसमें क्या क्या चीज इन्वॉल्व है? कहानी ली जाती है, एक्टर्स इकट्ठे किए जाते हैं, उनकी रिहर्सल की जाती है. Then there is the production side, how to put it on tape or on film, and then how to market it. All of that is the job content of a film director. So whatever job you may take, whether it is that of a teacher, whether it is that of a manager, or a painter, or a director, there are job contents. In Herzberg's theory, job content is one of the main motivators. जो एक शख्स को प्रोपेल कर रहा है वो जॉब का कंटेंट है. दैट्स वन सेट ऑफ मोटिवेटर्स कि जॉब के कंटेंट्स, उसके हिस्से क्या हैं, उसके अनासिर क्या हैं. दूसरा मोटिवेटर जो है अकॉर्डिंग टू हर्सबर्ग थियरी इज दैट ऑफ जॉब कॉन्टेक्स्ट. Job context means what is the environment in which the job is going to be performed, is being performed, or is somebody provided with enough material, is somebody provided with enough know-how, is somebody provided with right kind of environment, with right kind of workers, with right kind of supervision. हमने आपसे पिछले लेक्चर में ये गुजारिशात की थी कि जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन जो है वो रिलेटेड है नेचर ऑफ वर्क के साथ, जो कि कंटेंट है. फिर हमने कहा था जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन जो है वो रिलेटेड है नेचर ऑफ सुपरविजन के साथ, जो कि यहां हर्सबर्ग कह रहा है कॉन्टेक्स्ट. फिर हमने कहा था पिछली दफे आपसे कि जॉब सेटिस्फैक्शन जो है दैट इज ऑल्सो रिलेटेड टू द नेचर ऑफ वर्कर्स एंड सुपरविजन, और यही जॉब कॉन्टेक्स्ट है जिसका हर्सबर्ग जो है वो जिक्र कर रहा है. आप जानते हैं कि हमारे इस मुल्क के बहुत बड़े फिजिसिस्ट थे जो लाहौर में, जिन्होंने झंग में और लाहौर में तालीम हासिल की, फिर उन्होंने वलायत में जाके तालीम हासिल की, फिर वो यहां पढ़ने और पढ़ाने के लिए आए, लेकिन वो यहां एडजस्ट नहीं कर पाए, वो यहां नहीं रहे, तो उन्होंने इटली में जाके अपनी इंस्टीट्यूशन कायम की और फिर उस इंस्टीट्यूशन में ऐसा काम किया दैट ही एंडेड अप विद द नोबेल प्राइज, द हाईएस्ट प्राइज इन फिजिक्स. His job content, I'm obviously talking about Dr. Salam, the Nobel laureate, the only Pakistani who was given the Nobel Prize for Physics. आप जानते हैं कि वो यहीं पढ़े और यहां उन्होंने जॉब करने की भी कोशिश की, सही की. His job content was to do research in physics. That was his field. But his job context was such that it was not possible to conduct the kind of research and conduct the activities, the kind of activities that he needed to conduct. So he had to shift to Europe. And that is what we are talking about in terms of content and context. The content remained the same in case of this great physicist, but the context changed from here to Europe. And that context, when it changed and matched with the content, led him to win the highest prize in physics, that is the Nobel Prize in Physics. This is an example of job content and job context. इसी तरह से आप मिसाल ले सकते हैं, a great actor and a great director that has been known to mankind, और बच्चा उसके नाम से वाकिफ है, चार्ल्स चैपलिन, जिसको हम चार्ली चैपलिन भी कहते हैं. When he was making movies, that was the silent era of making movies. He made great movies in the silent era. That's the content of his job. And the silent era was the context of his job. When movies or films got to be made into sound films, then he couldn't make as big films as he really wanted to, because then the context had changed. उस वक्त जॉब की जो रिक्वायरमेंट थी, कंटेंट वही था, लेकिन क्योंकि साउंड आ गया था इसलिए उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट बदल गई थी. He then became a director but did not act in the films. And that is another example of how content and context motivate a person. So when we are talking about Herzberg's theory, we are talking about two things. The content of the job, कि उस जॉब के अनासिर क्या हैं, and then we are talking about the context of the job, कि उसके related factors क्या हैं जॉब के. This is Herzberg's theory of motivation. Another important contribution in the understanding of motivation with particular reference to organizations is that of Clayton Alderfer. Clayton Alderfer talks about 3 factors being responsible for motivation. 3 चीजें मिलके एक शख्स को ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में मोटिवेट कर रही हैं. मैं आपकी फिर याद दहानी के लिए गुजारिश करूं that we are talking about motivation in reference to organizational psychology. We are not talking about motivation in relation to individual psychology or psychotherapy. We are talking about motivation in relation to organizational psychology alone. So we will confine ourselves to theories in organizational psychology. In that context, we are talking about the third theory, Alderfer's theory, and he talks about 3 factors that combine to motivate a person. And what are those 3 factors? Number 1, E, number 2, R, and number 3, G. E, R, G. ये तीनों मिलके एक शख्स को ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में मोटिवेट करते हैं. E is existence. A person is motivated to remain in existence. You can compare it with physiological needs of Maslow's. Hunger, fear, sex, thirst these are what he calls existence needs. Second, relatedness. The second thing that motivates a person in an organization is relatedness. He wants to relate himself with other people and get a feeling of cooperation and get a feeling of belongingness. What Maslow was saying, the need for esteem, the need for love, that is what relatedness is. The affiliation need to socialize, to be social. जैसे मैंने आपसे मिसाल भी पूछी थी कि would you like your dinner alone or would you like with other people? And you said with other people. People that you like, your mother, father, brother, sister, etc. And that is what Alderfer is talking about. The other thing that motivates a person apart from existence are relatedness. And the third thing that motivates a person is growth, his desire to go forward, to express what he is, to खूब से खूब तर की तरफ, जैसे हाली ने कहा कि जाने की ख्वाहिश, ये जो है ये भी एक मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर है इन एल्डरफर्स थियरी. जहां एक शख्स मोटिवेट हो रहा है फॉर फुलफिलिंग हिज एग्जिस्टेंस नीड्स, वहीं एक शख्स मोटिवेट हो रहा है फॉर द फुलफिलमेंट ऑफ हिज सोशल नीड्स, और वहीं एक शख्स मोटिवेट हो रहा है for the fulfillment of higher motives, what Maslow had called achievement motivation, what made people great, what makes a person paint that chapel in Italy, Rome, what makes that person make that experiment that leads him to win the Nobel Prize in physics, what leads a person to develop those technologies which can save people from certain death in hundreds and thousands by developing technologies of performing operations on human hearts. All of these are examples of people who are motivated by need or by what Alderfer calls growth, what Maslow had called the need for self-actualization. So the third theory that we have looked at today is that of Clayton Alderfer, who defines motivation in terms of three basic or core needs: existence, relatedness, and growth. Before we end today, let us see what we talked about in context of motivation in organizations. We talked about motivation, a drive from within. We defined it. Then we talked about kinds of motives. You remember? We talked about two kinds of motives. Primary, that we have not learned, that we share with other animals. And secondary, the motives that we learn that we do not share with other animals. Then we talked about theories of motivation. In that context, मैंने गुजारिश की थी कि हमारी जो theories हैं, उनका जिक्र करना, उनके जिक्र में ये कहना जरूरी है that they were not based upon mere speculations. They were based upon and are based upon hard observations and years of work. And in that context, we talked about three theories. Abraham Maslow, who talks about a hierarchy. Then we talked about Herzberg theory, who talks about content and context. And then we talked about Alderfer's theory, who talks about motivation in terms of E, R, and G. That is existence, relatedness, and growth. This is motivation related to organizational psychology. इसी के बारे में हम मजीद जांच करेंगे, मजीद पढ़ेंगे और माहिरीन नफ्सियात ने मोटिवेशन के बारे में क्या कहा है. फिर ये भी देखेंगे कि इस मोटिवेशन का ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है. ये अगली दफा के लिए. Until that time, do look up today's lecture and look after yourselves. Until then, Khuda Hafiz, God be with you.